NFR.
NFR Extra is a podcast dedicated to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo and features icons and personalities that embody the Western lifestyle.
In my eyes, like, that's where I want to reach. Like, I reach so far with my goals that, you know, I want to test myself every year and try to reach that. Because if you're not setting that for yourself, I feel like you're just out there just doing it. And that ain't what I'm out here to do. I'm out here to put my name in, you know, in the record books and in history as one of the greatest ever. And that's what I work for every day. I think I've had one of the most historic moments that happened in Thomas and Mack when I was 6'1", but my calf got up. But for that quick second, I've never heard Thomas and Mack that loud. Like, the ground was literally shaking. I was on my horse and I felt the ground shaking. Like, that's the moments that I live for, being in Vegas.
This is pro rodeo announcer Andy Seiler, and you are listening to NFR Extra. The one and only Shad Money Mayfield. Who gave you the nickname Money?
Been around for a long time now. I think I was in sixth grade.
Sixth grade?
Sixth grade, I got it given to me. Really good friend of mine made me a rope can, and she put Shad Money Mayfield on it. And kind of took it from the Money Mayweather era.
Okay, yeah.
Put its own little twist on it. And that's when I started calling myself that on Instagram and Facebook, Money Mayfield. But it stuck when I won the American in 2020 and won $600,000. That's when it made sense.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. That kind of adds to the allure. For sure. So, making your first to NFR, who were the guys that you were kind of, I don't want to say looking up to, but you had in your mind, like, if I'm going to be a world champion, I have to beat X. Who would that have been when you were first coming out?
I think I had a different mindset my rookie year. Like, making my first NFR, I never really just had the confidence in myself. I've grown a lot in different ways to where I am now, and I don't think I had that type of confidence going into the NFR or anything, thinking I could be a world champion. You know, when I felt like when I was watching the NFR then, I was just so caught up in the moment, like, holy crap, I'm here at the NFR. I'm roping against Tough Cooper, Shane Hanchey, Caleb Smith, all these guys. You know, I was just kind of starstruck in the moment. Never really just learning my full capability of what I could really do. But I had people in my corner the whole time, you know, that could tell me I could do it. My dad, he was always telling me you could do it, this or that. You know, it took a couple of years. I think in 2020, that's when I really realized, you know, had a really great year. And that's the first year I won the world. And it all started that winter coming right off the NFR, having a so-so rookie year NFR. That winter, I just dominated, won every major rodeo there was. And that's when I realized, you know, you're not just a guy that, you know, starstruck by these guys. You're a guy that's actually beating these guys, so you have a chance to do whatever you want to do.
Do you believe in a world championship hangover?
I don't know. I've never heard of a world championship hangover.
Well, like, I mean, for instance, like Ted Noose was talking about it. So he won in 85, and then he was saying after that, he had to continually fight the fact that he had checked that box, you know, and so he had to continually tell himself, like, hey, yep, we did this, but now we got to do it again, you know, and it's not, you don't want to be a one-time world champion. Yeah. And, you know, he also talked about being in one of the toughest eras of bull riding, and I would say tie-down roping is kind of in that same vein. You know, I mean, when I look at guys now that in the 16 through 40 and even 50 spot, there's a lot of very, very talented tie-down ropers. They may just be a couple of good runs or one good horse away from getting to the NFR. So it's, in my eye, it's as talented as it's ever been.
Yeah, there's so many top athletes right now. And I think it's, you know, back then there were so many greats, but there was a handful of them. But now you look at them and, like, everybody has the potential and capability to do whatever. But with myself, like with the, you know, world championship hangover, I've always set big goals for myself. I'm always really competitive. You know, I don't settle for just anything. So I know after I won my first world championship, it was in Arlington. You know, after that, my biggest goal, like, I kind of forgot about that one. I said, you know, clean slate. I want to get a gold buckle in Vegas. Like, that's my goal. Now I have a gold buckle in Vegas, and now it's like I have so many more goals past that. I'm looking at like who's the Kev Roper that's got the most gold buckles, and I'm like, in my eyes, like that's where I want to reach. Like I reach so far with my goals that I want to test myself every year and try to reach that. Because if you're not setting that for yourself, I feel like you're just out there just doing it, and that ain't what I'm out here to do. I'm out here to put my name in, in the record books and in history as one of the greatest ever, and that's what I work for every day.
I love that.
I think that's hard to put into perspective for a lot of people. The fact that you just said, like, my first one was in Arlington, but you reached for it in Vegas. Talk about the difference in energy, because I think that is a huge piece that people don't understand, especially when you're inside the Thomas and Mack specifically, the energy that you are within.
Yeah, it's the NFR was the NFR in Arlington, but it's just different in Vegas. Like being the kid, sitting in the living room watching those guys on TV, it was the Thomas and Mack. Like that's what gave me goosebumps to go out there and compete. I remember coming out here for the junior NFR. I was 16 years old, and I got to go watch my first performance at Thomas and Mack, and I literally just went in to watch the calf roping, and I sat up there, and I'm just like, I'm starstruck by everything. I'm thinking like, I'm just looking around, looking at all the people, looking at how small the arena is. So like, I want to be in this moment. I want to be like right there and just watching everything. I mean, since I was a little kid, I guarantee you there hasn't been a go around I didn't watch at the NFR. And so like I watched everything go down. I mean, the 10th go around, battle it out for World Championships, all that. I watched that. So that's what when I say I want to win a World Championship in Vegas, that just takes it back to those moments of me sitting in the living room watching all that, watching Trevor Brazile, Cody, Fred, all those guys do that type of stuff, because I want to put myself in that situation. I want to put myself in that moment to be able to do that type of stuff. And, if you go out there, and there's no better feeling than going into Thomas and Mack and just making the best run you ever made. I mean, I've done it, and there's nothing on the world that feels better than that. There's, everybody's sitting there on top of you. The ground rattles. I mean, I think I've had one of the most historic moments that happened in Thomas and Mack when I was 6'1", but my calf got up. But for that quick second, I've never heard Thomas and Mack that loud. Like the ground was literally shaking. I was on my horse and I felt the ground shaking. Like that's the moments that I live for, being in Vegas.
So going back in history, are there any of those tapes that you think of? Like for me, Cody Old tearing up his knee. Like that's one of those moments, and it wasn't a good one, but as far as tie down roping goes, like I will never forget him finishing that run, with a torn up knee. Yeah,
that's definitely a moment. Like that's the moment that really gives you the goosebumps. Like that shows how much passion you have to come out here and do it. And I feel like you're not just going to do that in any rodeo. That's something you're going to come out and do. And at the NFR out here in Vegas, you're going to dig deep. You're going to have the passion to do something like that. And that's the kind of passion that I have in doing something that no matter what, I'll go out there and finish it. And just like that, I mean, Cody, the adrenaline he had going and everyone in the crowd just pushing him. I mean, you're not going to be in an empty stadium, be able to push yourself through that. Yeah. I mean, the people are going to push you through that. Everything like that is going to push you through that. And that's what Thomas and Mack and the energy brings. It'll push you through anything. And I've dealt with pain, but when you back in that box of Thomas and Mack with the energy, you're not feeling it till you're well outside of the arena. I promise you that.
What's your horsepower look like this year?
I have amazing horsepower. Coming back this year, I'm riding my horse that won Horse of the Year last year, Lolipop. She's been amazing. I've rode her all winter long. And actually just got a new horse that's half sister to her. I call her Tootsie Pop. And she's amazing as well. So I'm excited to have both of them with me this summer. And, it helps to have two horses, especially in the summer. Like Lolipop, I usually ride her mostly in the winter, but, it's not too hard on them. But in the summertime, we're traveling a lot, usually running a calf every day. So now I feel like it's an advantage for me to have two horses to pick from to ride here and there so I could save them and keep them feeling good.
You have somebody that's helping you find horses?
So I do have a lot of people that's kind of, out there, and I'm really picky. Like I've gone through a lot of horses, and Lolipop, she's been the one that stuck with me for the past 3 years now, because that's who I have a connection with. That's who fits my style of roping. And with the horse I just found, I really got lucky on her. Like she's so much alike to Lolipop. So it's not like when I'm switching horses back and forth, I got this total different feel. It's like they're still kind of the same in areas, so I don't have to change too much about my roping. And, I've bought horses that, it's hard to say. I bought them and we're down the road, don't really like them, so I had to sell them and this and that. But, with the one I just got, it isn't like that. We clicked right off the bat, and that's what I could see with that one.
So if you have to mount out or buddy up, is there somebody you usually reach out to?
I don't really mount out too much. That's the thing about me, is I don't really try to enter myself to where I'm not on my own horse. And, I've mounted out in the past. I don't mind riding other people's horses and all that, but I've just always liked to stick with my own. And, there's been, like, I flew out to Logandale, Nevada to the rodeo and hopped on Luke Potter's good horse and won some money there and done stuff like that. So, there's so many good horses out there nowadays as well, too, with so many ropers that, anywhere you go, you got an opportunity to get on a horse. And I know I've mounted a few guys throughout the years, so I got some mounts out there that people owe me that I might get on every now and then. But typically, like in the summertime, I'm trying to ride my own horse.
Well, it's funny you were talking about Logandale. I actually had a similar conversation with Monty Lewis while we were there, and he was talking about, obviously in team roping and steer wrestling and barrel racing, you have to have a good horse. He said, but I have literally watched horses make and break guys' careers in tie down roping. He said, and these are, we were having the conversation, so I'm not going to quote him exactly because I might get it wrong, but the basis of what he was saying is a great horse can take an average guy and get him to the NFR. And a great horse can take an above average guy and put him in contention for a world title. And then he said, and then if you flip it, you can have a great guy, but if he's riding a donkey, like, you're not going to win anything. So it's a testament to the success that you've had, how great your horsepower is, because obviously you're very talented and your horse wins horse of the year. And this year you were in contention for multiple gold buckles. So talk a little bit about managing your expectations and looking at multiple leaderboards and watching other people, because you're not just vying for a tie-down roping world championship, you're also going for the all-around as well.
Yeah, so I've been on both sides of it. So my rookie year and in 2020, I started out on just average horses. I didn't have the best of horses. So that helped me in a way. I feel like that made me tougher. It made me a better roper because it taught me that I could get on anything and be able to win. But whenever I got the good horsepower, that's when it elevated my game. And I feel like that's what Monty's talking about. And you see that now, like without Lolipop, I wouldn't be able to go out there and compete like I compete, or probably be as good as I am. And that's with everybody. I mean, like Riley Webb, when he gets on his good horse Rudy, like, you just know. And like when he backs in there, he just knows. I feel like that's the difference it makes. And like last year, when I was going for the all around, I picked up steer roping. And when I first started steer roping, I was just hopping on other guys' horses, entering here and there, and never won nothing, this or that. And I said, man, they go find me a good horse, older horse that knows his job. That way I could just go out there and not have to worry about my horse. I could just go out there and rope. Then, kind of teach me how to win from there on. So I invested in a really good horse, and he, right off the bat, I think this maybe the second trip and we went to together, I finally pulled my first check, and we started picking up and starting to get checks here and there. And honestly, I'm not a steer roper. That's not what I've done my whole life. But just the fact that I got a horse that knows his job and makes it easy for me, I can just go out there and just do it, and he teaches me how to win. That's what made the difference in that. And all year long I was pulling checks on that horse, and I'm like, my steer roping does not look like Scott Snedeker or Cole Patterson, the world champions, but it's the horse. The horse has put me in position to win, and that's what made the difference.
Let's take a quick pause, and we'll be right back.
It's that time of year. It's time for Vegas. Finding your custom NFR experience can start now. This resource makes your NFR planning so much easier. At nfrexperience.com/stay your way, you can shop for the hotel that best fits your plans. You can find information on viewing parties, concerts, price, transportation, location, and so much more, all in one place. Don't waste time searching for your NFR experience. We have you covered. Go to nfrexperience.com/stay your way. It's time for Vegas. Stay your way.
I'm a firm believer too that there are certain animals that when they wake up every day, they're just a winner. Like they're going to allow you to win, and whether you make a mistake at the barrier or whatever it is, I feel like they have that gaming mentality, and there's nothing to compare it to when that comes together with you, right? When you fit a horse and a horse fits you, that confidence that you have walking into the box is second to none.
Yeah, I do. And I look for that special bond in a horse. Like I've tried a bunch of horses, and I could get on a horse and lope a horse around and run 1 or 2 calves on a horse and they got to have the heart for it. They got to want to do it. And with like Lolipop, no one realizes like I don't have to rope on her at home. I don't have to do anything. I could load her in the trailer and take her to the rodeo. It could be the biggest rodeo, and she's going to perform because she has a heart and she likes to do it. You could see it in her ears. I could just feel it. And I've been on horses and tried horses for a lot of money. And I'll back them in the box, and like it's like they don't even want to do this. They're like it's like they're being forced to do this, and I'm like, I'm gonna spend all this money for horses being forced to do this. Like I have horses at home, like a really good horse that wants to do this. Like this knows it's her job, and she loves to do it. She, licks her lips after she jerks the calf over. Like that's the kind of horse that I like. Like honestly, I pay attention to that type of stuff. That's the type of horses that I look for because I mean, over the years, when I was a kid. And, your parents always tell you, I just thought the horse is a horse, it's just transportation, but it's more than that. I learned that over the years and where I am at today, you got to have a special bond with those horses and you got to really find the ones that really like their job and really have the grit for it.
Speaking of like their job, I'm a little curious how it's changed for you on the mental side of things. We've talked about it a lot with each contestant over this last day. But you've come in at the very top and you've come in on the lower side for many national finals rodeos now. How does that play into the mental side of it for you?
Horsepower is mental for sure. Like I said, Riley backing in with Rudy and me backing on Lolipop. Having that mentally is just a different feeling. Whether than I'm backing in the box on a horse that I'm kind of iffy about. And I've been there. I've backed in. In 2020 when I won my first world championship, I had a really good horse then, but he was young. And that was his big first stage. And I was back in the box on him, which the next year he actually placed horse of the year the next 2 years. He became a really good horse, but that year we were still green. We were still figuring out each other. And back in the box, mentally, I'm like, what's he going to do? What am I going to do? We didn't have that total mental connection. And then, when I got Lolipop, and started winning and just kind of proving ourselves to each other and getting that trust, which it took probably, 8 months till me and Lolipop really clicked. When I first got her, we didn't get along. And actually the people I bought her from said she don't work in buildings, don't ride her in a building. And literally.
Well, that's half my rodeos.
Yeah.
But I bought her after the winter rodeos. So we took her to the summertime. I took her to California, Red Bluff, all that. We didn't get along. Kind of, went home, tweaked on some things, tried to grow, almost sold her, all that stuff. And come Reno, that's when I won Reno on her in 2023. And we started clicking from then on all summer long. And I was supposed to ride another horse at the finals in 2023. And he got crippled right before the finals, and she was all I had. And I just remembered, they said, don't ride her in a building. She's not going to work. And I'm like, crap. So I took her to Fort Worth Stockyards a couple of times, and I said, well, this is going to work. And I remember the first night back in the box at Thomas and Mack, I was still very mentally not 100% sure what was going to happen. And she was amazing. I misstrung the calf to win the go-around because after I roped, I was like, holy crap, what?
This wasn't supposed to work.
That wasn't supposed to be like that. And
dude, I got to go.
Yeah.
Get off, go.
In all 10 nights, she was the best horse at the Thomas and Mack in 2023. And then, like I said, from there on, that's when our confidence, that's when everything just clicked. And like I said, back in the box the next year, it's like, I have no worry about my horse. I know she's going to work. All I got to do is back in the box and do my job.
What's the biggest difference between your tie-down roping world championship and your all-around world championship? What are your feelings about both?
It's a lot of differences. I feel like the all-around's a very prestigious buckle. It's something that I'll never take for granted. I mean, just to have my name right there in the all-around, world champions with all the list of people that have won that's truly special. And that's something I feel like that's what it makes a real cowboy right there, and that's something that I get to have by my name for forever and let legacy live on. And with calf roping the World Championship, that's different as well, because that's my independent event that I've worked for my whole life, and that's something that independently, like, I strive to get every year. That's what comes first to me, is the calf roping World Championship. But like I said, with the opportunity to get the all around, like, I'm not going to pass that up. That's way special more than anything.
Do you believe in rivalries?
I do believe in. I try to make rivalries.
Oh, really?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So, I mean, you have to consider Riley then a rival, correct?
Riley is my rival.
Okay.
He's my rival, but he's my friend.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Riley. We rodeoed his rookie year. He got in with me, and we had a great year together. He finished in making the NFR, and ever since then he's progressed so much in which we knew he was coming. We knew, like I said, we've had about the same upcoming with everything, and here we are today. I feel like we're two of the top on our game right now, and like I said, we're best of friends when we're not, backed in the box against each other. But when we're backed in the box, we know, like, I got to beat Riley and Riley's got to beat me. I feel like that's like the old Cody and Fred. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And like, I want to make that rivalry, and that's how I've always been. I can't back in the box and just, I try to stay in my own lane, and I try to say that the only person that can beat me is myself. But again, like, I want to beat you. I want to beat you. I want to beat you. It just gives me that extra edge to go out there and do what I need to do. In those moments where you really got to dig deep and be clutch.
Well, and I like hearing you say that, because to me it's honest versus, we're all good buddies, and which it's great, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but yes, you only want to do the best job you can at every calf out there, but you can't tell me when you're done that if he's got 3, 4, 5 gold buckles, whatever it is, that you want 2. Like,
Exactly.
when you're done
everything,
being the competitor that you are, you would love to be, hey Riley, I got your Christmas card. I hope you got mine. It's got one more gold buckle than yours,
exactly.
right? I mean,
and that's the difference. With, there's the guys that are always 10th through 20th or something, and I know my mental game is totally different than them guys, and that's why I feel like I'm at, I've been first, second, or third for the past years since I've came in, and it's because my mental, like, I'm very competitive, and I want to, I go out there to try to beat you. Like, that's my goal, at the end of the day. And like right now, he's first in the world. He's got me by 28,000. Like,
not that anybody's counting.
I'm I'm biting my fingernails. I'm biting my fingernails. I'm like, man, like,
did you audit that?
Yeah.
Sure.
He won Houston, and it was like more than that. Then after Houston, I was like, oh, he's got us by a bunch. So then I went and won San Angelo, and I'm like, I'm back. Here I am. I'm not too far away.
Here we go.
So that's how I take it. Like, I'm taking it like right now. It's like my only goal is like, I know Riley's top of the game. He's back-to-back world champion. That's the guy right now. And like, in my head, coming off last year, I broke the single season earnings record. But like, my goal is, I want to catch, my summer goals, I'm going to do whatever I can to just go catch Riley, pass Riley, and beat Riley at the end of the season. And at the end of the day, I mean, it is like friendly. Like, I'm going to say like, hey, got you, this, that. Like, it's not personal, but it's like, that's how I got to dig deep to go out there and do that. Like, I can't just go out there and just rope to win. Like, I need to go win some money, get in the standing, stay here. Like, no, I got to have a reason. Like, I want to go out there and just win this one and this one and win as much money as I can so I can go into the finals first. Like, that's the goal. That's the mental that I come with. Well,
and I would agree that having a specific goal is important, because of all the champions that we've talked to, they talk about being specific with what they want to do and where they want to go. And if you don't have that destination in mind, you're never going to get there, because you're just setting out these random, vague benchmarks versus, no, this is where we want to be, and this is what it's going to take in order to achieve said goal.
And just like, it's a funny story. So 2022, Riley's rookie year, when he rodeoed with me, that was the year that I broke the single season earnings record. It was Tough Cooper's record at the time, and I broke it. The next year, Riley comes back and he breaks my record by a lot. I think he won like 270-something thousand. But my record was 204, and I think as soon as he passed 204, because there was a controversial call at Houston, he won Houston that year, and I told him, I said, well, until you get to 255, because that 50,000 at Houston, I said, I'm not going to take it serious.
Doesn't count.
And I'm not going to, and he did it, and he passed it, and I said, and I texted him as soon as he did it, I said, congratulations, you broke my record, but I'm going to come back and get it next year. And the next year at Fort Worth, I won Fort Worth 2024, and I said, Riley, I'm coming back for my single season earnings record. And then I broke his record again. And this year, his goal is to break mine
yours,
again.
yeah.
So that's been pretty cool that we've been, kind of doing that back and forth. And like at the end of the day, like we tell each other, like, I'm coming to beat your record.
Well, and at the end of the day, if you, and I know you're a sports fan, if Alabama won every national championship in college football, after a while, like it gets boring,
Yep.
and Jake and Clay were talking about winning their world titles. And after they got to 3, 4, then 5, he said, we didn't change anything as far as what we were doing, but people started calling us villains. And he's like, we're the same guys. Like, we haven't done anything wrong. We haven't accosted anyone. We're continuing to do what we do, but people are getting tired of us winning.
Yeah.
So they became villains. And he's like, we're still good guys. So I feel like a healthy rivalry does nothing but help, because it gives you parity. It gives you a back and forth, and it not only keeps you guys sharp, but it keeps us paying attention, going, all right, well, Riley's won 2, but Shad's now got 2 gold buckles, and there are multiple world champions all over the tie down rope. And so it makes it a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. Like, me and Riley, we had a match open this past weekend, and it was the most talked about thing coming up for a while. It was part of the Wendy Ryan Memorial Roping, a big roping they have there in Fort Worth, and the roping's kind of been dying off, so they had the match open with me and Riley, and like the stands were packed, biggest crowd they've had ever over there. And tell you about the match roping, how competitive it was. We had an 8-head match roping. I roped first. I picked my 4 calves, and then at the half, he ropes the calves I run, I rope the calves he ran. After the 8th calf, Riley runs out there and ropes his calf. The announcer says, for the first time in history, we have a tie.
We tied after 8 head.
On an 8-head match roping. For the first time in the world of all the match roping, there's never, ever, ever been a tie.
So what
That's
happened? Was there a
So
number
we
9?
gather around, we're like, what do we do? We had a tiebreaker. I picked 4 calves. Or I picked 2 calves. He picked 2 calves. Just do it all over again. I roped 2 calves, and then we swap again. And Riley beat me by 1/10 of a second.
Are you kidding me?
That's how tough it ended up being.
That is awesome.
And it was 100 degrees, and it was old school. Let them out. Calves were big, strong. Nobody made a mistake. I mean, it was you punch, I hit, you punch, I hit every single round. And I know I roped first, and I had a game plan. Like I said, I want to rope first. Like I want Riley to come behind me, because I'm not going to rope like a match roping where you track, do all that.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to show him, like, we're here to do this like that. And I'd rope. And like I got all respect for Riley. I mean, not very many other people would be able to do what he was doing, coming right behind me and matching it, doing whatever it needed to take. I'd win this round. He'd win this round. It was just like that. It was so close the whole time. And I mean, the whole way through, it was just like that. It was pretty cool to be a part of.
Well, that's awesome, Shad. And listen, I know your name, it gets passed around quite a bit with the next generation and a lot of kids. So just keep doing what you're doing and keep being the person that you are, because guys like you and Riley and this next generation, you're doing a really, really good job representing our sport.
For sure. Thank y'all for having me on.
Want to experience more of the NFR? Then visit NFRexperience.com, and we invite you to subscribe to NFR Extra on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you've heard on NFR Extra, we would love it if you gave us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe.